You know, the theme for today's show is we go big with the biggest zoo speaker I have ever reviewed. And, well, there's a lot of cool things to talk about. Number one is that Sean Casey from Zoo delivered these speakers to me. And we did not an unboxing video, but let's say an unwrapping video. And I will show that at the conclusion of today's show, along with an Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. But this speaker is big. It's really big. And you know what the problem is with really big speakers is they kind of spoil you. You can't go back to a small speaker. Once you get used to the scale, the size of the music, how much closer you get to life-size music, that returning to a smaller speaker is kind of a letdown. Another way to put this is that it's a cruiser. No matter what you throw at it, it's unflappable. That's the way to do it. It's just, everything just moves by real and easy, no sense of impending stress or strain or distortion. It just keeps going. and again, that's the kind of thing that's kind of addicting because you just get used to that kind of power. Now, before I go too much further in this, Zoo, in case you don't know it, is an American company. They design and build their speakers in Ogden, Utah. The drivers are made in the United States. And they build their own cabinets. They do their own finishing work in their Ogden factory. They don't really farm things out like a lot of other speaker companies do. Now, this is really an all-in event. Obviously, this is an expensive speaker, but I do want to make note that the Zoo DW6 that I reviewed last year, which is one of their least expensive speakers, is part of my ongoing reference system. You know, I get a lot of things obviously in here to review. Most of them come and go. Some of them stick around for a little while. But the DW6, I'm looking at them right over there, they're not going anywhere. I keep coming back to them and I keep really enjoying them. And I'm just pointing that out early on in the review, is that yes, the Definition 6 is an expensive speaker, but the DW6, the Dirty Weekend 6, is one of their least expensive speakers, and it's got some magic of its own. So don't feel left out of the party. Let's get into the details of the design. And the drivers, well, those two 10-inch drivers are coaxial drivers, meaning it's a woofer with a tweeter in the center of it. And that driver, one very similar to it, is the one that's featured in the Zoo Soul 6. And then between the two 10-inch coaxials is a tweeter. And that tweeter is there to fill in, let's say, the space, literally and figuratively, between the two 10-inch drivers. And then below there, near the bottom of the speaker, is an active 12-inch subwoofer. And that subwoofer is being powered by a 400-watt Class D amplifier. And then the controls in the back of the speaker allow you to set the level of the subwoofer and the low pass for the subwoofer, and also equalization settings if you choose to use them. You know, there might be times where you want to play the Definition 6 without the subwoofers. You can run the speakers without subs. There's a nice heavy-duty toggle switch on the back there, maybe for late night listening sessions, or you just don't want to be rattling the room all the time. Yeah, I ran them with and without the subs. And matter of fact, sometimes I thought the subs were on when they were in fact off, because those two 10-inch drivers can make a significant amount of bass on their own. They come in at like 40 or 50 hertz, the two 10-inch drivers. So just throwing it out there for your consideration. Now, I'll make note that the two 10-inch drivers are run without a crossover. The tweeter has a capacitor on it, a Jupiter capacitor in line with the tweeter. Zoo speakers are known for their high sensitivity. This one is definitely at the higher end. The sensitivity number is 101 dB. Impedance is an easy to drive 8 ohms. Does not go down too far below 8 ohms. At 125 pounds, I would rate these speakers as heavy, though the cabinets are made out of this wood called okame, which I think was first used in the Zoo Soul 6. Zoo sells direct worldwide. The Definition 6 price starts at $25,000 a pair and goes up for these various finishes that are offered And I think even custom finishes are possible. So check with Zoo if you want something truly special. As for setup, I used a moderate degree of toe-in, and I was seated about 10 feet, close to 10 feet away from the speakers. Now, the leveling feet on the base of these speakers is fantastic. It's so easy to adjust them. You don't have to even tilt the speaker back and stop the speaker from wobbling on the feet. Really nicely done, and since they're not spiked, it's easy to move the speakers around with those feet. Now, I think there are optional spikes, as I recall, but anyway, I have these leveling feet, which I thought were fantastic. As for the music section of this review, I'm going to start with the absolute peak. The peak experience for me was the Rolling Stones live in Texas, 1978. I played this recording many, many times, and I have a video of it, and it's fantastic. But there was something about the way the Definition 6 nailed Mick Jagger's vocals, because they had this power, the sense of Mick really going for it. Really singing his guts out, just putting everything he had into it, like I have heard on no other recording by the band. And Keith's guitar, the rawness of his guitar, the sting of his guitar, just like the sound coming out of a guitar amplifier, not a set of audiophile speakers. And this was the stuff that I was playing really loud in the high 90 dB range, or mid 90 dB range. And I'm playing it loud, and I'm not doing this for long. Don't worry about my neighbors. I was doing it for a minute or two at a time. But anyway, I was just so digging it. And Charlie Watts' drums, Bill Wyman's bass, it just had this drive, this power that goes beyond, let's say, the norm for audiophile speakers. Now, audiophile speakers, painting with a very broad brush, are more, let's say, refined. They do jazz really well, they do classical really well, they do a lot of things really well. They're tonal. You could tick off all the things that audiophile speakers are all about, and of course, sound staging and imaging. And many of those things that they do better than this speaker, the Definition 6. But what the Definition 6 does is communicate energy and power and drive. That's what really got my juices flowing over the course of this review, was just feeling that, like, it's almost like they didn't have any limits. Now, of course, they absolutely do. And my room is big, but not gigantic. If you put them in a room that's, 40 by 80 feet or something, yeah, you'd probably start to feel the limitations of the speaker. But in a normal to large-ish room, I think this speaker would satisfy most audiophiles. Now, the thing is, the Definition 6 is not about transparency and purity. It doesn't really do that. And the soundstage actually could sometimes be pretty wide, but the soundstage was kind of flat sounding, dimensionally flat. Not terrible, but not anywhere on the par of, other speakers like the Vivid Kaya 25 I had in this room. It's doing different things. And that's the beauty of this hobby, is there are different types of speakers and kinds of speakers to suit different tastes. There isn't any one speaker that does everything at a 10 and will please everybody. That does not exist. Now, I did, by the way, I went from the Stones to Sinatra live at the Sands. Frank Sinatra, I think 65 or 66, with the Count Basie Orchestra, with Quincy Jones conducting. It's a phenomenal recording. Sinatra is in rare form. He is really hitting it hard. His phrasing, his connection to the audience is impeccable. He's just so at ease. He is not Mick Jagger. He isn't trying to be Mick Jagger. He's doing a different thing. But this recording, which can sound bright to hard on various systems, no, it really went down very easy here on the Definition 6. And Sinatra's vocals, well, it's a different kind of style, obviously, but he was communicating. He was definitely communicating with me. And the Basie big band, the brass, oh man, it's just, again, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how well that played over these speakers. Now, the amps I was using, of course, the Past Labs XA25, but there really was something special going on with the SIT3, the first watt SIT3, which is 18 watts a channel into 8 ohms. No, I wasn't hitting it as hard as I was with the past XA25. Oh, and then to change gears yet again, I'm playing this one, this US3, or is it US3, and it's acid jazz, which isn't exactly jazz, it's sampled music. It's really good. I think this is as good as acid jazz ever got for me. But anyway, the bass on this recording, thanks to those 12-inch active woofers, it had texture and form and just kick-ass delivery. I mean, this visceral experience of feeling the bass. Yeah, and so yeah, I nudged up the sub-levels a little bit for this one because I just wanted that, let's say, I hate that word, but an immersive experience in terms of the bass taking over the room. And I love that. It was so good. But the whole presentation, just the feeling of the drive of this music, the rhythms were just so well played by this speaker. I was surprised that the Definition 6, even at 101 dB sensitivity spec, it didn't play that kind of very quiet late night levels particularly well. Meaning I always wanted to turn it up a little bit louder or a little bit louder. I mean, it was good, but not as good as many other speakers that have passed through this room. So why that's so? I don't know, because it should. At 101 dB, it absolutely should be fantastic, played very, very quietly. I don't know why, but it wasn't. I also played Patti Smith's first record. Now, Patti Smith, no one would ever say this. She's a great rock singer. But you know what she has? She has power. She believes in her words. She is first a poet. And when you listen to this music, I think this recording is one of those that gets better over time. Her belief in herself and in her music is phenomenal. And you really sense that connection. Like, she is not fooling around. She's not a little girl singer. No, man. She is a serious artist. And you sense that in her vocals because, yeah, the Definition 6 gets to the matter of what's going on in the mid-range really, really well. As for the high frequency response, it is, let's use the word, relaxed. You're not always thinking about sparkling highs and super clarity and all that stuff. No, it's more relaxed than that, but it's not dull, it's not dark, it's just not very forward in the high frequency response, which is again part of the reason that this speaker is so easy to listen to really loud, because it's not like thrusting this detail at you, and if you played that really loud, it would get tiresome really quick. So I like the highs. They're a tad reserved, but I think over time that will wear very, very well. I think some of you know that in a previous life, I was the world's worst piano tuner. I mean, I didn't charge anybody to tune a piano because that was so awful. But I love pianos and I love being inside pianos. And anyway, I have a thing about solo piano recordings. And these by Dick Hyman for Reference Recordings. That's the name of the record company, and I will link to them in the description below this video. Dick Hyman recordings are amazing. And I'm playing these recordings not realistically loud over the Definition 6, but pretty loud. And I'm getting the sense of scale and dynamics and power of the instrument better than most, better than most audiophile speakers. Because, you know, it's a big instrument. He's playing a 9-foot grand piano. That's mission impossible for most speakers. But anyway, just what I was getting out of the Definition 6 was so good. Maybe the best piano sound I've ever heard in this room. So Steve, what do you really think? What do you really think of the Zoo Definition 6? This is an amazing speaker for the right kind of audiophile, right? Because it's not really particularly an audiophile sounding speaker. It doesn't do transparency. It does it okay, you know, and tonal balance is actually good, but you could do better. And highs, you can find other speakers that do better high frequencies. But in terms of communicating the liveness of music, the power of it, the weight of it, the way it reproduces the sound of vocals and pianos, it's absolutely extraordinary. So it doesn't check every audiophile box. No speaker ever does. That's not possible. I'm just trying to put this in proportion, my enthusiasm for this speaker. That when it was hitting it, with those Stones records, with Frank Sinatra, with Count Basie, it was incredible. That's what I love about the Definition 6. And now, I'm not going to do the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. I'm going to do this unwrapping video with Sean Casey, the man himself, Mr. Zoo. So Sean, you're here.
Yeah.
How did you get here? This is amazing. You come from Utah.
Teleporter.
You just slept over here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did. I actually slept over. In the car, the whole thing. Yeah.
Cool.
Cross country.
It is heavy speaker. What is this one?
This is the Definition 6.
Cool.
Yeah. Excited to have it in your house.
I
Thanks.
am more than excited. We
Right
have
on.
a history together.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
this could be the start of something even bigger.
I hope.
All right, so start moving over
Okay.
here.
About here?
Let's see about that spot. Yeah, that's
Okay.
good. We must go through a lot of rolls of that clear wrap.
There's, we do. It gives you, I mean, not only does it protect the speaker, but it also gives you some grip. So.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's preferred to fleece for sure.
Okay. But
And,
this tweeter, is this tweeter used in all of your speakers?
This is the Definition 6, or sorry, the Druid 6 tweeter,
Oh, okay.
and it's just used in these two products.
Oh, okay.
And then the driver, well, that's not totally true. Parts of this are from the Druid 6, and then parts are unique to itself. And then the full range driver is essentially the Soul 6 driver, but the sound is not the same.
It's the coaxial.
Yeah, so you've got a tweeter.
Oh.
These two are tuned identical, and this one's tuned to blend and also to improve the dispersion at 15K and up.
Okay.
And then the sub comes in at 40 hertz or so to round out the bottom two octaves.
Okay. And that's active?
Yeah, yep. So you've got adjustments on the back so you can tune to taste.
Nice. And this is the Mark 6.
Yes, Mark
right?
6. Yeah, it took a while to get here.
But was there 5 previous?
Yeah, we skipped 5.
Okay.
The Definition 4, which was the previous iteration, came out in 2010, and it was really good. We were really happy with it, and so it's 2023.
Yeah.
Finally got the new version, and yeah, so we skipped over 5. And
Oh, okay.
Just went 6.
And the first one came out when?
I think the first Definition was 2003.
Oh, really early?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Druid came out 2001, and then there was the Definition. The first Definition was 2003, early
Okay.
2003.
And how is it better? How is this one better than the Mark IV?
Right. So the Mark IV.
Or different. Let's start with different. Okay.
Well, everything is different.
Okay.
So there's not the tech is different and the makeup is different. We still use a 10-inch driver for reasons of it does a thing that we really like how sound propagates and how it emulates, how it kind of matches human head, right? So 10-inch drivers, and that's the same, and the tweeter in the middle is the same. The new is that these drivers are new. This tweeter is new. It's the same Eminence Lab 12 on the bottom.
Okay.
The cabinetry is all made out of okame, which is this really cool wood that super light, really strong, has really great damping properties. MDF is not my favorite thing to listen to. It's really fun to work with because it's dimensionally really stable and it's flat and it just runs through CNC machines. Okame, you have to have artists make it. You can't just it's a finicky material. So, but it's a tone wood also. So a lot of guitars, you'll see bass guitars made out of okame, and a few other instruments, strung instruments that are made out of okame. But it's also pretty light. So even though it's loaded up with all this driver, and physically it's not a small speaker, though it's not a big speaker. It's 115 pounds, all fully loaded. So the cabinet keeps it pretty light.
Cool.
And these are coming to you with 3 weeks of burn-in.
Thank you.
Yep. So they should sound great right out of the wrapper.
Fantastic. And there's the electronics on the back.
Yep. So those are only for the subwoofer. So the binding posts, just like normal, those run directly through up to the full range drivers. We have this Neutrik 8-pole that we also have in parallel with these two, so it's an option for those who want to use a speak on 8-pole. It's the termination technique is called a ZUB3. We publish the information for that. And then you have your volume. Starting point is straight up. Low pass filter, 45 hertz is where we recommend. This is your parametric EQ if you need to solve some problems in the room. We recommend you leave those at 0.
Is that only for the bottom? For the bass?
Yes, this is just for the bass. And so the pass-through goes right to the full range drivers. There's no filters on the full range drivers. So they just go on unimpeded, and then we jumper off. We just tap signal through Lundahl transformers. So it's transformer isolated, and then that taps into the electronics for the subwoofer.
Okay.
And this is on all analog domain on the processing.
Okay. And the amplifier is a Class D?
Yep, Class D. It's made by Hypex. It's an OEM 400 watt board, analog power supply, linear power supply. So it doesn't use a switching power supply. There are good switching power supplies, but they're exotic, and we can't get our hands on the exotic ones. But the linear power supply does a really good job, matches up nice with the Hypex.
Okay. And what's the sensitivity for this being?
101, and it's an 8 ohm speaker.
Okay. So my 2 watt Deckware Zen Triad will be rocking and rolling?
No, I would definitely hook it up, see how it sounds.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure, Steve.
Okay. Hey, this one comes to us from Jason. He lives in Kamloops, British Columbia. And I think he has a pretty tidy system. His speakers are JBL L100 Classic. The amp is a Name XS2 with high cap. Then there's also a Name V1 DAC, Sony mini disc player, and to top it all off, a Marantz tabletop cassette deck. Thank you, Jason. All right, this was a long one. My name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel with these kinds of reviews and these interviews with the designers that I get every now and then I get to do them, please consider joining and supporting my Patreon. To do so is super easy to do. The address is on the screen right now. And of course, if you dig the Audiophiliac viewer systems of the day, which I get such a kick out of doing these things, please consider joining my Patreon. And that's it. My work here is at last complete. At last. Thank you again for watching. And I really, really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.